for my grad school class, so if you don't want to be in the video, now's your time to say so. Anybody? Okay, good luck. Okay, so I'm Megan Kelly. I'm the ESL coordinator and ESL teacher. Come on in. The water's fine.
The water's fine?
Yes, ma'am. I'm the ESL coordinator and ESL teacher at Elementary Carrollton. So today I'm doing a PD on designing language objectives. I know that we are super familiar with these and we do these all the time. But I know, or at least on my campus, I can't speak for yours, some of our teachers are like very lost. So this training is kind of how, make sure that you're doing all of these things like you know you're supposed to, and then just kind of reinforcing it with your teachers, especially my testing ESL coordinator people. So here we go. Also, my principal, Ms. Reef, or my AP Ms. Reef, said that I used too many GIFs, and I was like, are you kidding me? There's not enough. So enjoy. You're good, you're totally fine. Okay, so one thing that I love to do is Kagan structures. If you're not familiar with them, they're just like cooperative group activities that you can do. You can come on in, guys. So we're going to do something called stand up, hand up, pair up. So I need everybody to stand up. Everybody stand up. Push your chairs in. And then put your hand up. And then pair up with somebody. Preferably not somebody at your table. Find somebody not at your table to pair up with. Okay, class?
Okay, yes.
Okay, so now that you're with your partner, I want you to discuss what you already know about what the difference between a language objective and a content objective. What do you already know about those two things?
Got it.
Good job.
She said
Well, the content is what you're related to the subject. Language is that the teachers and there's like so it's this scale and domains that you are focused on.
Class?
Yes.
I know that's I know we do that all the time in class, but it works, so. Okay, can anybody share out what you and your partner discussed? Or just awkwardly stare at me?
Language is how they're using the language and content is your teach.
Okay, excellent. Okay, go ahead and find your seats. Thank you. Okay, so that was one Kagan structure. It's one way that you can do cooperative learning. I do it with my kids a lot because every time I come into professional development, I'm reminded like how much I hate sitting in one place for a really long time. So that's something that you can do that's quick and easy. Okay, so I heard a lot of you say this. The content objective, it identifies what students should know and be able to do at the end of the lesson and leads to an assessment. Obviously, these are your TEKs. So it's like what they're learning. This also needs to have like, how are they going to show you what they know? So like, I can identify states of matter by choosing them correctly on the CBA or whatever. So you're not just saying like what they're doing, but like how are they going to show you that they know it? And I heard most everybody say this. Okay, so here's an example. I actually had to, for one of my other grad classes, I had to write a ESL lesson plan, it was very tough. No, I'm just kidding. I do it all the time. But I had to find a TEK, and then I had to teach it, which was kind of interesting because it was science, and I haven't taught science in a while. But here was a 3rd grade TEK. So my I can statement would be, I can identify how to measure, test, and record physical properties of matter, including temperature, mass, and magnetism, by selecting the appropriate tool and unit of measure for each given object. Okay, so that's like one big, really long thing. So you could break that down even further. So like that could be what you're talking about all week, but like on Monday, you're just talking about temperature. On Tuesday, you're just talking about mass, or however you wanted to do it. So that's our content objective, that's our TEK, like that, I got that from TEK. Okay, so, and then our language objective. So this is where I see most teachers like breaking down. They don't really know what to do or how to incorporate it. And to me, that's not like a training. It's not, or a lack of knowledge. It's not that they don't want to or they think it's silly or whatever. They don't know how. So I was explaining it to one of our science teachers. I said reading and listening is a process-oriented thing. And then writing and speaking is performance. So like process is like internal, and then the performance is like more output versus input. So process-oriented, reading and listening, or performance-oriented, writing and speaking, statement of what you want the students to do with the language. So I've heard a lot of teachers say, well, that's just my ELPs, but it's not. Like it's deeper than that. And we're gonna go into how it's deeper. So what my principal is seeing a lot of teachers do is they're just throwing the ELPs up. Like they're just copy and pasting what the lesson plan's saying and just putting that, slapping them on the board. And what I'm asking the teachers to do is like planning exactly how are they gonna show you that they can speak in English? How exactly are they gonna write in English? How exactly are they gonna read in English and listen in English? What are they gonna do and how are they gonna show you that they can do those things? This is one of the goals for our campus because we wanted our pass, we didn't do terrible, but we didn't do awesome either. Like we could have done a whole lot better. And I know that my ESL team is doing a really good job. I just want my teachers to be doing the same thing. Okay, so here's some examples. So for that TEK that I showed you earlier, that content objective, I have 4 different language objectives just for that one TEK, and I'm hitting all the domains. So the bolded ones, I know it's a little hard to read with the lights on, but the bolded words are my support. So I'm not just saying I want them to talk, but like what language support am I gonna give them in order for them to be able to do that thing? So for reading, I can preview the chapter headings to identify the topic. So in that particular lesson that I gave to my ESL students, they had a passage, like a science passage that they had to read. So they had to preview it. And then I can choral read, that's my support, we're all doing it together, about how matter is classified into physical properties, including mass, temperature, and magnetism. So in that lesson, we all read the article together. For writing, I can write to explain why some tools are better than others to measure certain physical properties using sentence stems. When I was talking to that same science teacher, he said I'm not awesome at incorporating writing into science as much as I'd want to be. He said I'm better at it in social studies, but science is really a struggle for me. And I said, it doesn't have to be like some big drawn out thing. Like it can be something that's in a journal, and he's really into Google Classroom. And I said it could just be something quick like that. And I said, you are awesome at having all of those word bank or word wall words. And I said, just say, you have to use these sentence stems and use these words. I said, those are your 2 supports and you're done. Like it's not, you're not making some big, long lesson plan. And then for listening, I can describe with a partner, that's my support. Especially, we have like 5 newcomers this year, so their support would be not only with a partner, but with a partner that speaks Spanish. All of our newcomers speak Spanish, so with a partner that speaks Spanish. using content vocabulary, what tools we use to measure the different physical properties of matter and why, using discussion sentence stems. So that's another support. One of the things that I wasn't doing very well is I was giving them sentence stems to write, but I wasn't always giving them like discussion sentence stems. And that was something that my principal said, like, hey, that'd be really awesome if you did that. So, in the future, I plan on making an anchor chart that'll kind of encompass everything, and they can always reference that if they need to. Okay, and then the last thing, I can predict what I will learn about classifying matter by turning the heading into a question. So like if the heading is temperature, so how they could turn that heading into a question is, what is temperature? Okay, I know I just said a whole lot of information, so please turn to the person next to you, your shoulder partner, and kind of give a synopsis of what you kind of heard, or the person across from you. Ready,
A lot of teachers don't think that, they think it's an extra step they have to do. I said, no, you don't have to make it an extra step. Because I had a science teacher who's like, I need to get on the right more. And she asked me as being the ESL teacher, she's like, can you show me how, a way to do it? I said, literally just ask them, what did you learn today? I go, make them write to you. She goes, you think that's it? I said, you understand how much that will make them process what they learned. Yeah, I said, do anything. I said, get them. And she's like, I've got to do it. Because she was thinking she's going to use figure I said, no, start them out with just a sentence or two. I said, I did that. Like, what English thing do you want to learn? And I had one year was semicolons because I did not know how to use semicolons. And I said, you know what? Neither do I. Guess what? I went and researched it and we practiced it all year. And by the end of the year, he goes, this I feel like discussion semicolons. But we did, but I took with things. They asked me, I sat there and he said, that's a question. Oh, you have kids running around, they're like closets together, and they body and things like that. Yeah, at the end of the day, you can say, what did you learn? Or what are you still have a question about? Especially in science, what are you still have a question about? I mean, she just asked me, she was like, is that simple? I'm like, yeah, and then out the year, add to it. And so instead of just give them like that minute or two to do it, say, you got 5 minutes to write a paragraph of what you learned.
Or another thing they could do is, how well do you know these 3 words?
Try to choo-choo,
Give me a
class.
thumbs up if you're good, give me a thumbs down if you're
Choo-choo, class. I switched mine up a lot, so get used to that. Okay, I heard some really awesome discussion. I heard that one of the things I heard is that English teachers seem to be doing these a lot more than the other subject teachers, and that's what we're really trying to all of us are trying to push. It's not just ELA that it matters, it's not just writing that it matters, it really matters in math. Because when they get to that TELPAS and they're having to talk about math, they have no idea they don't know how to use that academic vocabulary because they never practiced it. So you have kids that are, I would say proficient in English, but then TELPAS rates them really low because they didn't do it right, or do it right, But if we're giving them that extra practice, then that's where we'll start seeing the results. Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, I'm a brand new 13th year teaching, but
Well.
I've never taught ESL or ESL teacher. So as far as you're talking about, using this, how we can assess them or know, what are some things we can use as far as like HMH? I understand that, in the ESL curriculum, I'm not finding too many assessments or ways for me to measure. And then if I do use HMH, they've already done that in the core classroom. So what would you suggest?
So I'm totally with you. So one of the things that I started using was this tabletop thing, and it came with the HMH.
Yeah, I have the tabletop.
And that's super, I am really impressed with it, and it really, really breaks it down. But you can also look at what I did. I looked at that teak, and I made these myself. I didn't get it from anywhere. So we're gonna practice how you can make those language objectives yourself. So,
Well, I'm just asking, I know how to make those, but how am I supposed to assess them?
so are you assessing you mean assessing them when they're listening, or
Yeah, she mentioned how are we gonna know if they have, mastered those objectives, or how do we know, if when we first start talking about these? So
So that's like kind of how you're gonna know. That's like with your feedback. So when you're looking at their reading, like you're listening to them correlate.
Oh, yes, I understand.
Yeah.
that, but, like,
I'm
is there
sorry, I
any-
don't understand your
I guess
question.
I'm just wondering, like my campus, like, they wanna see, like, my lesson plans are attached outside the door, what assessment I'm using, what quick check I'm using to know if they understood, you know, a taught. I can't find anything unless I pay for it, go something, or make it myself. Does that make sense? So I just didn't know, maybe I'm way off topic right now.
No. So like with, especially with your writing, like with those sentence stems, like that is your assessment. With them writing, that is an assessment.
I can use that.
Yeah, and then with their speaking, turning that heading into a question, like you can assess. Now it's more of an informal assessment,
That's my.
right? But that writing, that is
So all
a
of that-
formal assessment.
Yeah, okay, so what, when I'm doing, asking the questions about the answer,
Yeah.
is what I'm.
Yeah.
Okay, alright.
Now, if you want to have like a big assessment, like they do more in like the general education classrooms, like you can absolutely do that. Yours is just going to look different because they're not just doing a bubble sheet; they're doing. You want them talking and listening and things like that.
Thank you.
I don't know if I answered your question.
I think you did.
Okay.
If you didn't.
We can talk
We
more.
can talk later.
Okay, we're BFFs now.
Yeah, we are.
Okay, so we're gonna do another Kagan structure because I'm all about them. So this one, you're gonna stand up again. Thanks for not moaning, everyone. Hot man. Okay, this time you're going to move around the room. This is the mixing part. I'm gonna do the Jeopardy jingle because everybody knows that one. And then when you hear me stop, hand up again, pair up with somebody that's next to you. Does that make sense? Okay. All right, hand up. And then give somebody a high five that's closest to you. If you're kind of in the middle, find somebody. Yeah, come join me. Okay, so this time I want you to discuss what you personally or what you think other teachers are struggling with regarding writing and applying language objectives to their content objectives. So like, why do you think they're struggling doing this, or why do you find yourself struggling with this? On your mark, get set, go.
With some teachers, they're not advised and they don't kind of like stop for us to kind of take those steps to kind of check for an awareness of how the kids are doing.
That's only
Don't forget the else. They go, oh no, I did. And which help do I use? How is this going to correlate with this teak? I don't know. Are they the same setups and stuff like that? So it's a familiarity issue as well. And maybe that plays into it too.
Well, and I think it goes back to the data team.
Yeah.
And the fact that we're like, okay, they take the time, they take
But I get their frustration too. I mean, my largest group, I do have 14 kindergartners going home by myself versus their 26 so I get that, but you know, I decide perhaps how many programs to like, you know, it's like, I feel like it all balances out, my workload. We're here to support each other.
Class. Okay, let's do one share out. What was something not you said, but your partner said? Don't everybody raise your hand at once. Mr. Riddle, I'm calling you out.
Well, that the teachers are so busy with data and this is the teak that your kids are missing because they missed it on this assessment and this assessment and this assessment that they're not even worrying about the ELP that the kids are missing, and that's what they're actually missing is the language to understand the teak that they're missing.
That was a really great point. Go ahead and have a seat.
Good job.
Thank you. That's very good.
Good job. Good job.
Mr. Riddle,
She
I
said
thought,
not
like,
your
You're
you
wrong.
said
Yeah,
that
yeah.
better.
You said you were your partner said it. Awesome. Good job, partner.
So I think Mr. Riddle's right. Like, they're so worried. And I can't fault them for this, but like, they're so worried about getting that TEK done. Like, they still can't add or subtract, or they still can't read this word, or they still can't identify central idea, or they still can't, talk about the different states of matter. That they're like, I don't even care if they can talk about it. I just want to be able to do it on paper. But we've got to get everybody on board, like, both matter, or they're not going to progress. Like, they're going to be an ESL until they're seniors, and that's not what we want. Okay, so here's a step-by-step guide of how to write the language objectives. I really hate reading PowerPoints out loud to teachers because I'm pretty sure you all know how to read. So I want you to read the steps to yourself. When you're done, give me a thumbs up, and then we can go on to the next thing. And maybe like 30 more seconds. Five, four, three, two, one. Okay, so we're gonna actually practice this. Okay, so I gave you a slip of paper that's the graphic organizer of how to write a language objective. So you're gonna decide what you want that language domain to be. If you want it to be listening, reading, writing, or speaking. And then on your other sheet of paper, I'm gonna skip over this. On your other sheet of paper, you have all of these action words. When I was writing the language objectives with an activity that you guys are gonna do in just a second, this was really helpful. Because I hate saying identify, and I feel like a lot of my candidates say identify, identify, identify. So this is a really cool tool. I didn't make this, I kind of stole it from somebody else, but it's still really awesome. And then you're going to tell me what your topic is. If it's inferencing, if you're a science teacher, it's states of matter. If you're a math teacher, it's subtraction, whatever your topic is. And then that's support. That support is a really big thing. And that's your other sheet of paper. That's what you're going to use to support that ESL student. They're not all going to have that same support. We all know we have our advanced high kids are super different from our beginner kids or intermediate kids. So that's where you can kind of decide which one's going to be best for the whole entire class. And then that final piece is where you write that language objective. Okay? And we're going to have a chance to practice that in just a second. Okay, so here's another Kangen structure. Yay! Okay, so this one's called Quiz Quiz Trade. So I'm going to give you a card. And it either has content on it, content objective on it, or it'll say language objective on it. So you're going to read your card, and then you're going to find a partner. We're going to mix up again. You're going to find a partner, and you're going to show them the objective. And then they have to tell you if it's a content objective or a language objective. If they get it right, you're going to praise them. So, awesome job, you're super smart. Glad you became a teacher. If they didn't get it right, you're going to coach them and explain why it was the other thing, or discuss why they got it wrong. Does that make sense? So you're either coaching them or you're praising them. When you're done, you're going to switch cards and then find a new partner. Anybody confused? Okay. So I'm going to pass out your cards. When you get your card, go ahead and stand up and start looking for somebody. If you want to start with the people around you, that's great. Okay, cool.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Really, I aspire to be like you.
Okay.
That is not reading, writing, listening, or speaking, so it is content.
Okay, guys, I'm gonna give you like 15 seconds to quiz one more person, because I'm pretty sure it's time to switch. Okay, class? Thanks. Class. Okay, so the last part of my presentation is you were supposed to build your own with that little graphic organizer. So I'm gonna let you guys do that on your own when you get back to your campuses. But I even had language objectives for this presentation. Ta-da! So your speaking objective was I can describe and define with a partner. So that was your support. The difference between language and content objectives using sentence stems. I can distinguish and match language versus content objectives. I can identify the difference between a content and language objective when pre-taught the vocabulary, and then I can write my own language objective. So, ta-da, that was the end. Thank you guys, I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
You're amazing. I'm sorry it was a little rushed at the end. And then if you want to keep the flyers I gave you, can. I'm not going to be offended if you give them back.
I want them.
Okay. I'm still having a lot of it, so
Good.
even after.
I know.
So
It will stay that way.
yeah. So